Hello and welcome to another MCO market update on Bitcoin. Yeah, the Bitcoin chart has not really followed through to the downside today. Rather, it's been moving up and down between support and resistance. So the wave counts we discussed in the previous video are still relevant. However, I've still made a small change, or it's not really a change. I've removed the directly bearish 1-2-1-2 setup that you might remember from the previous video. Which was actually part of the same scenario. It was just a different variation. And it's still valid, but I've removed it because it looks like that we're currently working on this wave 2 still, at least, yeah. What I wanted to say, and I communicated that to our members earlier today, you know, I mean, Bitcoin has really been holding up really well throughout the day. Stock market has been crashing, and we are probably close to a local low there. I'm still watching for a little bit more downside. Also here on the Nasdaq, for example, I covered the Nasdaq today in one of the videos on the Tradingview channel. I recommend you check that channel out if you're interested. You'll find it linked in the description. And as you might, some of you might have watched that video, but I'm expecting still a little bit further downside on the Nasdaq and also the S&P. But yeah, but it might happen only after a bit of a recovery rally. I mean, after such a sell-off day, we might see a bit of a short covering rally on Monday or Tuesday. So Bitcoin might not get direct follow through. I mean, again, you see they don't always move together, right? But I'm considering that once the stock market recovers a bit, Bitcoin could grind sideways a little bit longer or move up as well. I mean, we have to take each chart on its own, absolutely. But I'm just considering that if on a day like that, Bitcoin held up so well, it just tells us something, right? It tells us that maybe the immediate, money might be flowing a little bit in crypto, yeah, given that people might be fleeing the stock market a little bit, being scared there. So we've seen money has come in a little bit into crypto on Friday. So yeah, it's just something interesting. I mentioned that observation in the previous video already. So thesis is that if we get a bit of a short covering rally maybe on Monday, Tuesday in the stock market, that might also have a positive impact on crypto, on Bitcoin. So I just want to mention that. That doesn't change the chart at the moment. It doesn't change the parameters. They obviously the objective parameters that are still relevant. We've been watching them today. They've held, support and resistance both held. And the resistance area remains between 84,000 and 86,970. Micro support between 79,190 and 81,160. And the price is just sort of dancing in between these. So the pressure is still down in my view. I still prefer the yellow scenario, and it could very well be that Bitcoin is going to trend a little bit down over the weekend. If we just need that signal by breaking below the Friday low. So if we now see a break below that Friday low here at 81,680, well, that could be our signal that the third of a third wave to the downside has started. So I'm just mentioning that observation, obviously, that Bitcoin held up quite well. So there could be that tendency when the stock market is starting positive on Monday. We have to see how the futures open, right? But then Bitcoin could benefit from that as well. So I think it's very important that we watch closely how Bitcoin behaves over the weekend. I think last weekend the bears were in control. They could, for example, consider the scenario this could happen this weekend as well. We might grind down a little bit, form that 3, 4, 5. And then that's precisely what I'm watching for the stock market, like another 4-5 pattern. So let's assume that might happen Monday, Tuesday, and then we get that final sell-off before we get a larger recovery. So, and I'm saying that doesn't really add up with S&P and NASDAQ. But let's assume that might happen over the weekend. I mean, these markets are closed, right, over the weekend. So we'll see what crypto does. Parameters should be very clearly defined. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.